Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great day. So today I saw a shocking new poll from ADL, something that ADL has been monitoring since the 80s, which is American people and their beliefs in anti-Semitic tropes or stereotypes. And they found that literally 20% of Americans believe in at least 6 stereotypes against Jewish people. That's up from 11%. And 85% of Americans believe at least one anti-Semitic trope or stereotype, up from 61%, which is shocking. And over 20% of Americans believe that Jews have too much power. And the ADL says in its report how shocking and troubling this is, which of course no one could disagree with. And this comes from the right, from the left, from the middle. It's troubling. But I wanted to give you a Torah thought and something to speak from one Jew to another about how we approach this and how we deal with this. You know, this week we get introduced to the greatest Jewish leader, Moses. And it's interesting because, you know, way before Hillary Clinton wrote her famous book, It Takes a Village to Raise and More, there was the old famous thought that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a community. And if you think about it, you look around at our shul, you look around at our community, the community you live in, and you think about the impact that some people have had at you. If it's the guy who came to shul on time every time, the elderly woman or man, if it's the person who walked with a walker and took them half an hour instead of 5 minutes every day, if it's the person who always smiled at you by Kiddush, if it's the person who gave you a little lesson or taught you something, it takes a lot of people to raise a person. And we're all impacted by our surroundings, by our community, by the village we live in, so to speak, and especially as Jews. And the question asked is, Moses, the greatest Jewish leader, grew up in Pharaoh's palace, not amongst Jews. He wasn't able to go to the Kiddush or hang out in shul or be in preschool with the Jewish kids. He grew up in the palace, and not just didn't he grow up in a Jewish home, he grew up in the home of the greatest anti-Semite. And why is that? And the Ibn Israel, one of the greatest medieval Jewish thinkers who lived in Spain, writes something very powerful. He gives 2 answers, and I'll give you both of them. But the second one is what I want to touch on when it comes to anti-Semitism in America. The first one he says is, listen, you know, imagine if Moses grew up in the Jewish community. And there would always be these guys, when he gave a serious sermon or speech to the community, they would say, this is Moses, the kid who made trouble in class, the kid who was a firecracker, the kid who did this and that. There would be people that wouldn't take him seriously because they knew him from when he was a little kid. They watched him grow up. They watched him in school, in yeshiva, in the shul. Imagine the grandmother, Moses would come down from Mount Sinai. And would say, oh, you were such a cute baby. I remember the way you cried. I changed your diaper. That respect, that awe that's needed sometimes for a leader would have not been there. In a certain sense, it's saying in order to be a leader of a community, in order to really gain that respect and lead the community where they have to go to, sometimes you have to be an outsider. And the second is something really powerful, which speaks to anti-Semitism. You know, the Ibn Ezra says that had Moses grown up with the Jewish people in slavery, he would have been complacent, possibly like them, and had a slave mentality. The Jewish people were so enslaved and entrenched in what they were doing that they couldn't see anything else. They couldn't have that fire to become free. They didn't have the strength, the energy, the conviction. And they needed Moses to come out of the palace one day. And what happens? Moses comes out of the palace, and what does he see? He sees an Egyptian hitting a Jew. Imagine how often that happened. And it just went by. But Moses doesn't allow that to happen. Moses says, how could he hit a Jew? And he defends the Jew. Because Moses, being an outsider and growing up in the luxurious palace of Pharaoh, was able to be angered and to be troubled and to dream about something better for the Jewish people than what they had. You know, when we speak about some anti-Semitism, sometimes people are complacent. Or they're just, it's a fact of life. We have to just give in and give up. But the truth is that what we learned from Moses, the first Jewish leader, is that we could never be complacent, and we could never give up, and we could never stop begging and expecting change, because this is not the way it's supposed to be. And we have to do everything within our power. If it's from the organizations we support, the politicians we support, the people we engage, the things we're careful about how we do and what we do to change this reality. So my friends, never be complacent when you read a report like ADL like this. What the answer is a lot of them. First of all, never hide your Judaism. Be a proud Jew. Act benevolent as Jews do and are supposed to, and speak up and against anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic tropes. Have a great day.